right, then we have stick, jack, marble, domino. I don't know, you guys might be a little too. What is it?
Those are games.
Yes, good.
Old game.
They're like games before Nintendo and before your smartphone.
Like games before time.
But games before times, like dominoes and marbles. You guys ever played marbles?
Yes.
Yeah. What else? Jacks, like you throw it down and then you gotta catch. My sister and I just play that. Stick, I think that's pick up sticks.
Oh, I thought that was stick with the hula hoop.
With what?
The hula hoop.
With the hula hoop.
Like,
Oh,
run around
like,
with a stick and keep
that
going.
might matter. I was completely off. Oh, I know.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
only
Okay.
way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Where you
All right.
like some
In
type
front of you
stuff.
is your note packet. So not next week, but the week after. What are you guys taking?
Geometry, OST.
OSTs. Yes, exactly. So part of your standards on there is trigonometry, which is your SOHCAHTOA, and it's going to be on your geometry exam, which actually is only 5 weeks away. Isn't that wild? You guys only have about 5 weeks of school left.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Only 5.
Wow.
It should be 2.
It's
You're right. It should be 1.
2.
I think you're hurting Mrs. Starr's feelings.
I think
You're right.
so too.
It should be 0.
Should be 0.
Yeah, 0.
Okay, so we're going to review what we know about right triangles because these are also important because right now you're talking about rectangles and squares in class. So you want to make sure we know about Pythagorean theorem, what a right triangle is, hypotenuse, etc. We're going to talk about SOHCAHTOA, and you're going to be able to make sure that you can identify the opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. All right, so in your notes, right triangle. Lucy, what degrees does a right triangle have? 90 degrees, good. And it's represented by that small square in the corner. Whenever you see this, you know this is 90 degrees. The other 2 angles must be blank than 90 degrees.
Less
than, good, Louie. Yeah, because there's no possible way. If they were bigger, a triangle adds up to what degrees?
180.
180. So if it was any bigger, that could not work. So they have to be acute angles or less than 90. Good. The hypotenuse, Addison, is blank, the right angle, across from the right angle. Perfect. And it's the blank side of the triangle. Connor, what do you think?
The right side.
Not the right side. It's a right triangle, but it is, think about the size-wise. McKenna?
Hypotenuse.
It is the hypotenuse, yes. It is, but what about the hypotenuse? It's the blank side of the triangle. The largest or the longest, good, Lynn? It's the longest side. So if you did Pythagorean theorem or if you're using trig and your hypotenuse is not the longest side, what can you go? What can you say? Uh-oh, I made a mistake, right? You'll know that if their hypotenuse is not the longest, you made a mistake. Okay, so real quick, make sure you remember how to find the hypotenuse. Go ahead and write this for where you see your H's. I'm going to come around and make sure you got them right. Perfect. Excellent. Perfect, Allison. Excellent. You got it, Lucy. Excellent. I think we know where the hypotenuse is. I'm so proud that you guys can identify it that fast. And again, you're going to need to identify the hypotenuse for when you're finding, like when we do the rectangles and squares, you need to find the hypotenuse to find another leg sometimes. Okay, so opposite. The opposite side is blank from the angle. Let's see. Louis, it's what from the angle? Opposite. Here's our angle, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is the opposite always going to be? Is it the same side? Is it a cross?
It's a cross.
It's a cross, yes. So whenever you want to find your opposite, I take my corner like this and go, whoop. It's across from it. It's on the other side. Yes? Okay. Blank is the side, adjacent is the side that is blank to the angle. Addison, what do you think? It's next to the angle. Perfect. It shares a side with it. So over here, here's our angle. Do you see how the adjacent shares it? It touches it. And like we just said, the hypotenuse is always what from the right angle? Across. Good. So just to practice, want you guys to label. I'm giving you an angle, and your job is to find the hypotenuse, the opposite, and the adjacent. So I'll show you for an example, okay? Here's my hypotenuse. I see my angle. This is across from it. This shares a side with it. It's adjacent. Hi, Trig. Yeah, we're doing a lesson on SOHCAHTOA. Do you want to stay for this?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I just have to go tell Miss Miles.
Okay, go ahead. I'll leave the door open. Let's see who's going to put your notes then right here. All right, let's see. How do you do? Good. Okay, so this one, your opposite has to go across. You're getting your O's and your A's mixed up. So think about the A is that it touches the side of the angle. So try fixing those ones. How do you doing? So same thing here. Your O's are going to be across from it. So take your angle and then make an arrow this way. Perfect. Excellent. So same thing, your O's are going to be across from your angles. So this should be an O, and see how this shares the side? That's going to be an A. So really quick, look up. Your O's, you take the corner, and you want to see the side that's across from it. It doesn't touch that angle. So here's my angle, right? It does not touch the angle. It's across. It's on the other side. That's your opposite. Sometimes what I like to do is fill in all the ones I know first. So you guys were easily able to identify the hypotenuse every single time. So go ahead and write your H's in first. When it comes to your O's and A's, your opposites and adjacents, opposite should never touch the angle. So here's my 37. I'm going to go across from it, opposite. 15, I'm going to go across from it, O. Across from it, O. Across from it. Adjacent, it shares that side. Okay, so this is what it should look like. So if you made a mistake, it's totally fine. That's why we're doing this.
You've got the O
forgot.
on the second one.
I did. Oh my gosh, thank you. Perfect. So that's important before we move on to anything else. So
Wait a
let's try it with these ones, okay? These ones I put in different shapes, different sides. Here's the given angle. Maybe I would, if it was me, I would label the hypotenuse first and then my adjacent and opposite.
Anyway, I told you that other one wrong. You didn't forget the O. You just put it right there. You put
Oh,
that A
I
right
think it was from the other triangle. Let's start with this one. Where's my opposite side? Good, yeah. Perfect. You got it. Yeah, I like to do that line too. I think that helps. Perfect, Lynn. Crushing it. You got it now. Nice. Perfect. Excellent. All right, you guys all did super well on that. I'm just gonna do the last three together because I saw you guys all get the first four that I gave you. So I'm gonna go across to find my O's, across to find my O's. Here's my opposite here. Here's my opposite over here. My H's, my hypotenuse, always across from the 90. And my A's are always going to share the side with that given angle. Anyone have any questions so far? Because this will be part of your exam and your OST. I want to make sure you guys can identify the opposite and adjacent hypotenuse first. Once you have that, all you have to do is plug in the numbers. So let's practice. We're just going to do this one. We won't do the next page because I kind of want to move on. I think that you guys have this. So opposite side, I want you to give me the side length. So I'm going to show you what I want for this. Here is C. This is the angle I'm looking for. My opposite side is called segment or line what? What is this called? AB. Good. Let's write it as line or side AB. Here is my adjacent. What is this called, Louis?
BC.
BC. And then my hypotenuse is going to be what, Lucy? AC. Good. Go ahead and quickly write in that next example. I'm going to make sure you got it right. Cross your arms, no big deal. Got it done. Perfect. Nice job. Opposite side of this. Excellent. 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 Perfect. Alrighty, we're gonna move on. So I think you guys all mastered how to label which is the opposite, which is the hypotenuse, and which is the adjacent. So let's review with our SOHCAHTOA. It sounds fun to say, right? SOHCAHTOA. Let's figure out what that means, though. Louis, what does the S stand for in SOHCAHTOA?
Side.
Sine, yes. S-I-N-E. We write it in our calculator or when we're doing a problem as S-I-N. So sine of an angle equals my O, which stands for opposite, over my H, hypotenuse. If you want to just write HYP for short, that's fine with me. I think you guys would know what that means. So when I look at a given example, I'll go, what two things do I have? I have my O, my opposite, and I have an H. Oh, I'm going to use sine because it's the only one with OH. Then we get to this one. Lucy, what does the C stand for? Cosine, yes. So the C stands for cosine. Bless you. Bless you. One more?
No.
No? Okay, you're too
I'm
secret. Okay. A is going to stand for my adjacent, yes. And my H again is going to be, my hypotenuse. So when I'm looking at this, I'm going to go, all right, what two things do I have? I have an A, an adjacent, an H, hypotenuse. Oh, okay. My cosine is my A over my H, my adjacent over my hypotenuse. Then I have, what's the T stand for, McKenna?
Tangent.
Tangent, good. And we write it in our calculator when we're doing a math problem just as tan, T-A-N. Hey, you might be in my video, sorry.
Oh, no.
Just BG will see it, you're fine. O is going to be my opposite, so tangent is going to be your opposite side over your adjacent side. So when I look at a problem and I see I've got an O and an A, I'm going to use tangent. Okay?
That makes sense.
Make sense? Awesome. Can I move on to the next page? Everyone have this? All right, good. All right, so again, sine is going to be my opposite over my hypotenuse, yes. So that is the SOH. It's important with the order. The reason why it's called SOHCAHTOA is because the letters have to be in order. The O goes above the H. One thing I've noticed in the past from quizzes and years before is that a lot of people mix these up. They'll put their H's on top or their O's on the bottom. Make sure it's in the correct order. O is on top. So let's look at this right triangle. Someone give me an example. Let's say this is 20 degrees. What two things would I need for this angle to use sine? I need what two things? The hypotenuse and the What's the O? Opposite. So let's say the hypotenuse is 20, and the opposite, it has to be less than 20, right? Because the hypotenuse is the what leg? The longest. So let's say this is 15. The way I would write this out, if we're doing a math problem, is I'm going to say, I'm going to use sine because I have an opposite and a hypotenuse. I'm going to say the sine of my angle, and my angle is what degrees? 20, equals my opposite, which is 15, over my hypotenuse, which is perfect. So let's look at number 1. Here is angle C that we're looking at, right? Angle C, so we're going to put sine of C, we don't know what it is my opposite over my what? Hypotenuse. So Lucy, what should it be? What's my opposite for C? What's the opposite side? 21, yes. And what's the hypotenuse? You got it, 29. All right, you're going to find the sine of C for the next one. And I'm going to make sure that you guys have this down. So you're looking at angle C, and you're going to find the opposite over the hypotenuse. So what's your opposite? Perfect. Nice, you got it. Excellent. I'm crushing it. Sine of C is now here's O, right? Here's your angle, so your opposite is going to be that one over your hypotenuse. Perfect, Lucy. So we're going to start cosine.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I had a bit of the test.
You're fine. How'd it go?
Sorry.
What did you guys do in English?
I had this Friday, so I missed the vocab quiz.
Oh, the vocab quiz. You did really good on your vocab quiz. You're 100%. All right, so we have sine of C is my opposite, which is 30, over my hypotenuse, which is 50. So now we're going to, sine makes sense. Yes, O and H. Let's look at cosine now. Cosine is my A. Truth, do you remember what A stands for?
Adjacent.
Adjacent, yes. My adjacent over my hypotenuse. So if I'm going to use a fake angle, let's put this as like 35 degrees. I need 2 things. Louis, what's one thing I would need to use adjacent?
What would one say that need to use for adjacent?
Yeah, one of the sides. What would I need? Opposite, hypotenuse, or adjacent?
Adjacent.
I would need an adjacent. So give me any number that could be an adjacent angle. 25. Okay, perfect. And then I also need what, Lucy? Hypotenuse. What, can you give me a number for a hypotenuse that would kind of go along with this? Well, it has to be bigger than this side, right? Did you say 15 or 50? 50, yes. Okay, 50 works. I'm sorry, I thought you said 15. So the way I would write this would be cosine of my angle. So cosine of my angle, which is 35, equals my adjacent, which is 25, over my hypotenuse, which is 50. So for number 3, we're finding the cosine of C. I need 2 things. I need my A and my H. Louis, what's my A? What's my adjacent side for angle C?
36.
36, good. So put an A right there. And my hypotenuse is what, McKenna?
39.
Yes, 39. So the way I would set this up would be cosine of my angle, which is C, equals my adjacent, 36, over my hypotenuse, which is 39. I want you to do the next 2. I'm going to come around and make sure you're doing them right for cosine. Sorry. I think I had it on there. Right here. Does that say 8? Yes. Yep. Perfect. Nice job. This here's adjacent. So there's a little mistake there. I want to see if you can figure it out. Why